Pulp crazy.
Please subscribe, like, and comment if you're enjoying the videos. 4 days ago, Boris Kitt at The Hollywood Reporter broke the news about Sony acquiring the rights to produce a new Tarzan film. In the days that followed, I've seen a lot of speculation, the spreading of misinformation, and poor researching skills by bloggers and columnists covering the story. In this video, I'm going to set the record straight on the new Sony film and address other misconceptions about the Tarzan character. Here's the 5 biggest misconceptions about Tarzan that are currently spreading across the World Wide Web. I even put a special bonus misconception. Number 1, we have absolutely no evidence that the new Sony Tarzan movie is going to be woke, a reimagining, or a reinvention of the character. The original Hollywood Reporter article by Boris Kitt did not name a source, so I'm going to treat it as Kitt getting his information from an anonymous source. Now keep in mind, Sony Pictures declined to comment on the article, so we have no way of validating any of Kitt's claims at this point. Now, the article does indicate that there is no creative team on board yet, so no writers, no director. They don't even have a cast or a crew yet. So this project to me seems to be in such an early stage of infancy, it's really almost not worth discussing yet, which may be why Sony declined to comment on the Hollywood Reporter story. So I think everyone needs to just take a deep breath and calm down about this being a worst case scenario for the Tarzan character. We have nothing from Sony indicating that they are going to reimagine or rework the character. At this point, we only have an unsourced article from the Hollywood Reporter that Sony declined to comment on. Let's just wait and see how this project develops before we go all doom and gloom. Number 2, The Legend of Tarzan was not a box office bomb. I've seen a few articles indicating that the 2016 film starring Alexander Skarsgård, Margot Robbie, and Samuel L. Jackson was a box office bomb. This is simply not true when one takes the time to investigate. The Legend of Tarzan brought in nearly $357 million worldwide against a production budget of $180 million, according to Box Office Mojo. Now, it's my understanding that studios usually spend additional funds to market and advertise the film, and the amount is usually half of the production budget. So in this case, that would be an additional $90 million, which brings the overall budget of the film to $270 million. When you subtract $270 million from the worldwide box office of nearly $357 million, you have a profit of almost $87 million. Now, that's not Top Gun Maverick, but that's no box office bomb either. That's a successful film. Also, keep in mind, it's continuing to make money to this day through home media, streaming services, video on demand, and network licensing deals. Calling The Legend of Tarzan a box office bomb is simply incorrect. Number 3, Tarzan was not raised by gorillas. I think modern bloggers and columnists are just going by the animated Disney movie and skimming Wikipedia articles. I don't believe they are actually doing their due diligence in researching the Edgar Rice Burroughs novels before writing their pieces. Tarzan was not raised by gorillas. He was raised by a race of ape-like beings called the Mangani. One could think of the Mangani as a type of missing link between men and apes, similar to Sasquatch, or even just think of them as an undiscovered species of apes. In the works of Philip Jose Farmer, he refers to them as the Nukar in the times of ancient Opar, and in modern times he calls them the folk. But the Mangani are certainly not gorillas, or any animal currently known to man. As a matter of fact, the Mangani have their own spoken language, and in their language, Bolgani is the Mangani word for gorilla. White people are called Tarmangani, and black people are called Gomangani. Burroughs showed some excellent world building for pulp Africa in the Tarzan stories, not to mention his Barsoom series. Now, in all of the Tarzan films that I've seen, I would say the best depiction of them was in the 1984 film Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, starring Christopher Lambert, as shown on this screen. While most Tarzan films just use gorillas as stand-ins for the Mangani, Greystoke used practical effects to create a cryptid race that was neither human, gorilla, or chimp. The Greystoke Mangani look even better in the actual movie. This screenshot really doesn't do them justice. The first half of Greystoke is one of, if not the best depiction of Tarzan on the silver screen. I think the first half of that movie is the closest Hollywood has been able to get to the original Burroughs vision for Tarzan. Number 4. Tarzan and Jane do not live happily ever after at the conclusion of the first book in the series, Tarzan of the Apes. The ending of the first novel actually takes place not in Africa, but in Wisconsin of all places, and ends with Jane becoming engaged to Tarzan's cousin, with Tarzan keeping Jane and everyone else in the dark about his newly discovered heritage, thinking he's doing what's best for her. The only cast member who is aware of Tarzan's true identity and background at the conclusion of the first novel is his friend Frenchman Paul Darnot. And Tarzan actually spends the beginning of the next novel, The Return of Tarzan, in Paris before becoming a sort of proto-James Bond secret agent for the French government, which takes him back to Africa and ultimately to Jane. Again, I think a lot of the writers out there are just going by Wikipedia articles in the animated Disney movie when it comes to portraying Tarzan and Jane's romance. Number 5. Tarzan is not a brutish, muscle-bound caveman that speaks broken English. We can thank the iconic Johnny Weissmuller movies and the countless parodies of that particular version of Tarzan for contributing to the misconception. Now, when I think of Tarzan, I think of this image by the legendary Frank Frazetta. I think Frazetta really captures the essence of Tarzan with this painting and gives Lord Greystoke the correct physique. He's not the muscle-bound parody you see in cartoons and comic strips. Tarzan also does not speak in broken English. He's actually quite intelligent. He teaches himself to read English at a young age from the books in his late parents' cabin. He's able to write English before he can speak it. When he meets Darnot, he learns to speak French, and he eventually learns to speak English and other languages as well. He's far from the brutish simpleton portrayed in popular culture. You'll find that there's a lot going on in Tarzan's head when you read the original novels. Bonus. I'm not sure how this misconception started, but I've seen it in a few places, so I figured I would clear it up in this video. Tarzan is not named after the suburb of Tarzana, California. The suburb is named after Tarzan by none other than Edgar Rice Burroughs himself. Burroughs actually bought the property that would become Tarzana in February 1919, several years after Tarzan of the Apes first appeared in the October 1912 issue of the all-story pulp magazine. Burroughs dubbed his property Tarzana Ranch. He would later develop the property, and the area eventually became known as Tarzana, California. Pulp Crazy is located at pulpcrazy.com. I'm facebook.com/pulpcrazy, and I'm at pulpcrazy on Twitter and Instagram.